good story about the afterlife, it's for me, is usually one that the person that died comes back to haunt the person they believe is responsible for some mishap that occurred while they were alive. There's one interesting story about when the king of the Asante Empire died, and even before his funeral rites were made, his successor took one of his wives to bed, and the ghost of the Asante Hene that had died struck and took the life of his rival. This story revolves around a web of backstabbing, intricate planning, and manipulation involving two Asante Hines, Osei Kwame and Opoku Fofi, and one queen mother, Kunedu Yadom. Osei Kwame's ascension as Asante Hine came about because he was handpicked by his predecessor to take over from him when he died. Right from the start, Osei Kwame knew he didn't have the support of all the chiefs of Asante-Man. So what he did was, any opponent or rival that he had, he made sure that they did not live long enough to challenge him. Yadom, who was Queen Mother around this time, was one of Osei Kwame's strongest oppositions. Her reason for disliking Osei Kwame was because one of her sons was a rival to Osei Kwame's claim as Asante Hene. A few years into Osei Kwame's reign, Kunedu Yadom got her chance when the son that was a rival to Osei Kwame abruptly died. Yadom blamed Osei Kwame for the death of her son, and rumors began to spread across the Asante Empire that Osei Kwame had poisoned Kunedu Yadom's son. And while all this was going on, Kunedu Yadom's life was threatened and she had to flee from Kumasi. All these events and happenings gave Kunedu Yadom the opportunity to finally launch the campaign for her son, Opoku Fofi, to become the next Asante Hene. The Dodra festival came around, and while the entire Asante-Man went about planning this festival, Osei Kwame decided to sit the festival out. Kunedu Yadom used this as a means to gather the chiefs around and push her agenda forward. Among the charges that Kunedu Yadom presented to the Asante-Man Council was that Osei Kwame was too sympathetic towards the Islamic religion. She was strategic enough to win over majority of the council, and eventually they put Osei Kwame under house arrest. Do you want to read more ghost stories and folklore that is based on the history of the Asante Empire? Then I would want to recommend this book to you, The Usurper Stream. This is a retelling of the Asante Empire's early beginnings, focusing on the founders, Osei Tutu and Okomfo Anokye, and how these two men came together to create an empire that even the British Empire was fearful of them during the colonial era. If you're in Ghana and you'd want to get a copy of this book, there's a number scrolling somewhere on the screen that you can call. If you're outside Ghana, log on to Amazon and place an order today. Osei Kwame managed to flee his captors. Now his kingdom was under the threat of a civil war, and to avoid that, Osei Kwame committed suicide. And Kunedu Yadom had the free way to select her son, Opoku Fofi, to become the next Asante Hene. This installment took place during the funeral of Osei Kwame. It was around this time that Opoku Fofi is accused of taking to bed one of Osei Kwame's women. Less than 2 months, Opoku Fofi died, and many people started attributing this to the ghost of Osei Kwame returning from the grave to haunt Opoku Fofi for what was termed as disrespect to his predecessor.